Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me again today on the My Bourbon Journey Whiskey Review channel. So today we're going to be taking a look at a product from Heaven Hill, very tried and true. This has been with them for quite some time. We're going to take a look at the Pikesville Straight Rye Whiskey. It comes in at 110 proof or 55% ABV. Mash bill on this one, so this will classify as the barely legal rye, 51% rye, 39% corn, and 10% malted barley. Age statement, it is stated on the back that it's at least 6 years old, so we're getting into a really nice age for a rye whiskey. And the MSRP on this one, for what it is at $55, I think you'll see as we go through that it becomes a pretty nice value in terms of, again, what it is that you're getting for this particular product. So, all right, why don't we go ahead and we'll kind of dive into the color here. So as you can see here, nice copper type of color. Again, aged, minimum of 6 years old. You're going to really get some of those nice caramel copper looking colors. And that's exactly what we're getting here. Move the whiskey around the glass, very oily. One thing I really like about this rye whiskey is the fact that, as you'll see in the videos we get through, very oily, very mouth coating, all of that. So, okay, let's go and get into the nose. Oh, that really nice, sweet, rich oak right away. Nice mint aspect to it. A nice orange. There's almost like an orange creamsicle with a little bit of that vanilla that's there. But yeah, really nice orange citrus note. Again, that vanilla. So that's what's leading me to believe, or think about that creamsicle, like an orange creamsicle. Ah, like a nice honey note there too. Ah, cinnamon apple. Ah, again, really nice caramel note. That's coming through a little bit more now. Some really nice burnt sugars, kind of a brown sugar, a burnt sugar, something along those lines. There's more of that kind of creamy, rich caramel that's kind of coming out too. Maybe more along the lines of like a Werther or something like that. Maybe even a coffee note. Slight herbal note there to it. More of like maybe a black or a green tea. It's much more in the realm of like a tea than it is any kind of other kind of herb or anything like that. It's very much like more of a tea aspect. Maybe even a slight amount of like pine that's there too. That kind of popped in there a little bit. Nice tobacco leaf on that as well. Really a lot going on. Again, at 110 proof, really nice proof for a rye whiskey as well. And I'll say even a little bit of like a dark fruit aspect that's there as well. Really nice nose. Really enjoy kind of how complex it is. A lot going on. You're pulling out a lot of different profiles, which is really nice. Hopefully that will translate over to the palate, and we're going to find that out right now. So, cheers. Immediately. And again, prior to this, I've sat down with this a couple times, have had some other bottles before, have always loved it. The one thing with this right away is you get that nice, sweet rye aspect, followed quickly by that sweet oak. It's very presentable, meaning it's enjoyable, it's easy kind of sipping. I wouldn't say it necessarily drinks like it's proof of 110, but it does let you know there is a little bit of proof there. It drinks a little bit more also along the lines of like a high rye bourbon. So you do pull out some of those citrus notes, maybe a little bit of chocolate, coffee, things along those lines in this. But, it definitely still lets you know that it's a rye. That rye aspect is the immediate, thought that kind of pops into your mind. Yeah, almost a candied mint, I would say, on this. It's very sweet. Nice spice forward. Coats the mouth really well. And it's hitting really all areas of the palate. It's not just isolated to the front and middle. It's kind of everywhere, which is really nice. And I think that has to do a lot with just how it coats your mouth. It allows for all of the flavors to be over the entire palate, which is what you want when you're sipping on a nice whiskey. Again, a little bit more of that orange creamsicle note that's there, like I got on the nose. Really nice sweet oak. That's one thing I'm kind of focusing on here. Maybe a touch of leather on that as well. It's more of like what you would smell like an old leather, and you kind of do taste that. It's not overly oaky or overly heavy on the leather, but there is something that's there to it. It's not just all sweetness. There is some nice complexity where it's kind of rounded out, so to speak. Yeah, that leather, maybe even like a little bit of like a tobacco, like a sweet tobacco. Yeah, it's really nice. It's a great rye whiskey. Maybe even a slight nutty characteristic. I know it's something typical with Heaven Hill. I don't know if that's more in my mind, but there is for me on this a little bit of a nutty aspect to it. Maybe even like a little bit of a cream corn as well. You do get that corn aspect to it, but much more, it's just creamier. So that leads you to think more of like a creamier corn versus like a cornbread, where cornbread can be a little bit more kind of extreme, I'll say. A little bit of black pepper there right on the end, maybe a black or white pepper, not overly peppery or anything along those lines. It's not overpowering. It's way more on the sweet oak, a little bit of that mint that's there. You do get some of the leathers and the tobaccos, but always remaining is the sweetness. Again, nice mint. And again, it's more of a candied mint. So I think this falls into a really nice category of it also being a great sipper and an absolutely fantastic cocktail rye whiskey. And I know people, when you start talking about, cocktails, that you start to think that's maybe not geared towards a sipping whiskey. Well, this couldn't be any further from that. It's a fantastic sipping rye whiskey. It just happens to be, if you'd like to use it in the cocktail side of things, it's perfectly, fine for something like that. Great proof, just great flavors overall. I think it would hold up really, really well in a cocktail as well. I would say finish wise, you're probably on that, medium plus side in terms of the finish. Not overly long, but I'll say it's at least medium, maybe slightly medium plus on that. Again, the mouth coating is definitely there. It lingers. It allows all of those flavors to really remain on the palate, which is helping to probably lengthen the finish on it. But again, a lot of those really lingering sweet rye spices. Again, the leather, the tobacco, not over dominant. A little bit of black pepper, really nice mint aspect that's there to it. Still get some of the vanillas and the caramels, all of that as well. Maybe even remaining a little bit of that orange citrus that you got in the palate. So it's very consistent all the way through, which is nice. When you're looking for a really nice, well-balanced, solid sipping rye whiskey, this is a very fine example of that. So it's consistent all the way from the nose, all the way through the finish, where you're getting a lot of the same type of characteristics, which equates to a really well-balanced rye whiskey. So there you have it. I hope that if you had any idea or thoughts about, kind of what Pikesville had to offer as far as their rye whiskey, it's hands down a great rye whiskey. And if you can find it, great. $55, it's definitely worth having, and one that I think you need to have, on your bar. So hopefully, again, that helps. Again, this is the Pikesville from Heaven Hill, comes in at 110 proof, and is a pretty friendly $55 for whatever it is that you're getting in that bottle. So thank you so much for tuning in to another one of my reviews. Greatly appreciate all of the support. If you've had it, leave a comment below. Let me know your thoughts. Love to hear everybody's, feedback on whether they like it, what they like about it, maybe what they don't like about it, all of that. Love to hear people's feedback. Again, thank you so much for the support. If you'd like to follow me, you can on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all of those places at My Bourbon Journey. If you'd like to help support the channel, you can through my Patreon page, which I'll have linked in the description below. That also allows you to be part of the Bourbon Journey Whiskey Club, where Jason and I do a lot of picks through the club and get people involved, all of that. Try to have a really good time with that as well. So that'll get you part of the club as well. So there you have it. Again, Pikesville from Heaven Hill Distillery. And remember, it's about the journey and not the destination. Cheers.